This is my tier list for the BRM5 weapons. This is just what I think each weapon should, or where each weapon ranks. I got this idea from Mike GTL. I saw his video and thought a lot of his choices were questionable. So I'll just give him my idea of what I think the average player would find the best and the worst weapons. For the pistols, I'm going to be kind of splitting them up. So if you see a pistol in S category, it's not to say like your pistol is better than all those other weapons. It's kind of like split up. So it's going to be primaries and then secondaries are going to kind of be in their separate categories, I guess. So you might see like some pistols in S tier, but that's not to say like that pistol's better than the assault rifle or whatever that might be in there. It's just kind of like, for secondary, it's probably like the best one in there, or one of the best. So, just in case you get confused, like why is pistol better than the primary doesn't make any sense. That's why I did it. So, the tier list is also just my opinion on what I think the average player would be good using. I'm trying not to be like too biased or anything. Just kind of trying to find the best weapons for an average player. Someone who's maybe only been playing until they're like a 2-star or something. This video is also going to be somewhat in-depth. I guess I'm going to try and make it as in-depth as I can. And also, if my voice sounds a bit weird, it's because I had a wisdom teeth surgery like 7 days ago. So, sorry if it sounds really muffled and weird. So first weapon up is going to be the P90. I put it at B tier because it's probably the best, or the best in my opinion, of the submachine guns in the submachine gun category. It's just, it instantly comes with a 50 round mag, you have max mobility, low recoil, and if you're able to put a handguard on it and put a grip on it, which makes it have essentially no recoil and just a laser beam, it's really just kind of dumb. The only thing that puts it at B tier would probably be the damage. It just can't live up to other weapons in this tier list. It's too underpowered to make it anything better than B when you compare it to the rest of the weapons in this entire category. But for the SMGs, it's honestly probably one of the best. Like, you can't go wrong with it. It's just insane. Alright, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. The AK-74U is literally just the worst version of the AK-74. It's supposed to rival the M4A1. It kinda does. It actually does more torso damage than it, which is actually pretty good. But recoil is higher. Mobility isn't even like as fast as the other SMGs. There's just a ton of other options that are just better than it. In all honesty, it's just like a dollar store AK-74. It's no point. It's not that good. UMP-45 is just, it's at D tier because of how bad it is. It is just, there's no reason to use it. Even if you're new, you shouldn't buy this. Save your money for the AK-74U. This gun's just absolute trash. There's no reason to buy it, no reason to use it. Everything about this gun is low. Magazine size, low. Recoil is low, that's actually good. But then you have the reserves, they're low. Then you have the rate of fire, it's low. Especially for an SMG, it's very low. Everything about this gun is low. The damage is horrendously low, with 20 to the limbs. If you put a long barrel on this, it becomes a 6 shot to kill to the torso, or to the limbs, my bad. It's just, there's no reason. It's so bad. Nobody, like, unless you're trying to, like, roleplay or something, there's no reason for you to get this gun. Absolutely none. If there was, I probably should put an F tier, honestly. This is, like, borderline, like, it's getting very close to F tier. It's super bad. No reason to buy it. It's a terrible gun. Absolutely terrible. The M16A4 is an overall great gun for open world. If you're a noob, M16A4 is probably the best gun you can get for what you probably have. For PvP, it's not that good because of the burst delay. That burst delay is definitely going to get you killed, 100%, without a doubt in my mind. I know for a fact that's going to screw a lot of people over. So I wouldn't probably ever use it for PvP unless I was trying to do like a DMR kind of role, which I probably would never do. But for open world, it's a great gun, absolute blast to use. Very good for newbies, and you can probably hold on to this gun for quite a while before you want to change. This gun's just overall great, and that's why I put it in B tier. Just great gun, but for PvP, definitely some improvements there. M16A2, only reason why it's at D tier is purely because it's one hit point, just one hit point away from being a 2-shot kill in a torso against a player. Like, this gun could have been so good if it just had a little bit more damage. Only reason why it's a D tier. Because other than that, it's a surprisingly fast gun. Still doesn't have a lot of customization, which sucks. But there's still so much that you can do with it, but it's hindered by that damage, which really does suck. But yeah, as a starter gun, you definitely want to get rid of this as fast as possible, which you can, because you start out with $1,000. So either buy an AK or buy an M4. I put the C7A2 at B tier because it's a really good gun. Like, it works in almost any scenario. Like, it would work in close range, long range, whatever you really need it for. It is insane, really. It's mainly the process of getting it is why it's at B tier. Doing raid mode is very difficult, and I got insanely lucky by getting it on like my first try. I didn't even do it with like multiple people. I did it solo, so it took like what, 5 tries maybe. For a lot of people, they're not gonna want to go through that, so that immediately kind of puts it off. No one really thinks about it, especially seeing how, you know, there's a disclaimer saying you should probably get a squad of 5 people before even trying this. So not a lot of people are going to get it, which is kind of unfortunate because it's a great gun. But it's really that process of trying to get it that really hinders it from getting any higher. Okay, the reason why I put the AK-74 B tier is because overall it's not that bad of a gun. Good beginner gun. You can buy it off the bat, which is probably the best thing to do. It has high damage. It's pretty, like, you can't really control the horizontal recoil, which is probably one of its major flaws. But you're still able to kit it up how you like, and it still works pretty well. So overall, it's a pretty good gun. I wouldn't turn it down. But then again, there's also the AK-103, which is just, you know, better. But yeah, AK-74, not too bad, definitely worthy of B tier. AK-103 goes to S tier instantly, no brainer. Like, I think everyone can agree that the AK-103 is just insane when it comes to most scenarios. Is like the best for any scenario? Probably not. There might be some other options there that are better than it, but if you need a gun for like changing scenarios, the scenarios that go from like different ranges very quickly, or random stuff is coming at you all at once, this gun can probably hold under that pressure. Like, it's overall really good. Only downside to the AK-103 is probably its recoil, but that honestly isn't even that bad. At least in my opinion, I can control it fairly well. It still can get in the way at times, but if you can get the recoil down, then this gun's like, it's your best friend. The MK18 is essentially an M4A1 on steroids. Like, it's very similar to the M4A1, but it's just better. Like, it has so many more advantages than it. So if you're ever looking for a gun to upgrade from the M4A1, it's the MK18. Like, that's directly where you go if you want like an M series weapon. that's still like really good, then the M318 is where you go. So that's why it's an S tier. The AUG A1 is essentially, it's the same as the AUG A3. Like there's almost no differences. Only major flaw that it has is that you can't change the sights. Other than that, if you got it during the event and you didn't really feel like buying the AUG A3, then if you're okay with the sights and you can work with them, this is a perfectly fine gun. But because of those sights, a lot of people might have difficulty with them. So that's why I put it at A. I put the AUG A3 at S tier because it has extra reserve ammo, which no other gun in this game has, which is extremely handy when the limb damage on this gun is only 25 damage to the arm or leg. This gun is actually insane when it comes to like headshots. It does 105 damage headshots, so you can one-tap people in PvP, and it's really good against the AI. The torso damage is pretty good too at 55, allows you to two-shot people pretty easily. Rate of fire is the same as most other assault rifles, and it has a pretty high damage per second. Overall, this gun is really good at all ranges. It's actually really good at medium range because it has low recoil, so you're able to get a ton more shots on target and just ham down because you have an extra mag as well. So it's definitely good if you want to go somewhere and hold out for a long period of time. Great gun to have. I put the AS-VAL in B tier because it's so painfully obvious why the creators made it this way. Like, when you look at the stats, it's so clearly obvious just for PvP. You cannot use this in PvE. At range is basically impossible to use. By the time you hit your target, if it's more than like 200 meters away, your bullets are going to do effectively like 0 damage. Like, you're not going to, like, unless you're maybe raiding desert, or somewhere that's just like really like close quarters, CQB, that kind of stuff. If it's anything that's more than like 150 meters, you're better off literally sniping with a pistol. It's extremely overpriced at 22,000 bucks. It's just nah. Like, I only bought this gun for this tier, for this ranking. Literally, only reason why I bought the gun. I might use it just to mess around, but other than that, probably never gonna use this gun seriously ever. For PvP, still, you're better off using like an AK-103. Either that or an AUG or something else. Literally anything else. Hell, even the UMP45 might be better than this. Just probably best not to get this gun. Don't focus on it. Get literally anything else. Anything else. The FN-FAL. Man, this was hard to rank because at first I thought it was a C, but the more I thought about it and I actually went back to play with the gun, and the more I started to play with it, the more fun it became. And it's actually not that bad of a gun. It's a lot better than what I was thinking previously. In PvP, it's like always a two-shot, which is probably the best thing about this. If you go into PvP, you're always gonna get a two-shot. Like, if you hit that person twice, they're going down. Like, since it's mostly close quarters, like it doesn't even have that slow rate of fire, so you can just annihilate people up close. It's actually kind of insane in PvP. In open world, I was running this with absolutely no attachments for a good 10 minutes. It works flawlessly. I got pinned down with a guy with an RPG, was able to snipe them from like 3 buildings away. He was on top of the compound. I was on a building super, like, probably what, 100 feet away, and I was able to easily snipe him with the iron sight. Really good gun, super accurate, good rate of fire, overall great gun. I actually really like it. And it's probably one of the guns that have the greatest animations and sound design in this game so far. So it's actually a pretty good gun. But then again, you also have the Scar H, which is essentially this, but better. So that's why it's B tier. The Scar H I put at A tier because it's a really strong gun in PvE. In PvP, it can be good, but because there's not really any maps that are like super long to medium range, like there are maps that have some medium range parts, but for the most part, all the maps in the game for PvP are basically like CQB kind of maps. So in this case, it wouldn't really work out too well. Like, it has high damage, and if you're able to get a headshot and then gun on you, use the gun, it's actually insane. But if you're not that accurate and you don't always get headshots all the time, then the recoil might screw you over in PvP. In PvE, however, it has very good velocity, very good range. It's really excels in PvE more than anything. This gun's, like, compared to the FNFAL is kind of more, I guess, kind of like a middle ground between you can use this in PvP and still be good, and you can use it in PvE and still be good. This one's more directed to open world PvE and so on. PvP isn't really its strong suit, but it can be. It really just depends on the map. But yeah, like overall, this gun's like, I would probably put an S tier for just performing. If maybe we just had better maps suited for it, but right now, since there's not really a use for it in PvP, it's just kind of not the greatest gun to get. So that's why I put it at A tier. Alright, the G360 is, to put it shortly, a very consistent weapon. In PvP, it is either going to be a 2-shot or 3-shot. Like, no matter what. If you hit the person once in the head, then that means no matter where else you hit them, it's going to be just, you only need one more shot. It's going to be a 2-shot if you hit them once in the head. If you get all body shots or all arm shots or whatever, it's always going to be a 3-shot. It's very consistent like that, which is where one of the reasons why I ranked it so high. Another reason why I ranked it so high is that you can customize this thing so much. It's actually kind of dumb. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this gun. The only major downside is going to be the range coming down at like 650, which is like, it's ridiculously low. But you can like double it by putting a long barrel on it, so it really isn't even that big of a deal. So really, like, this gun, if you slap a long barrel on it, you don't even need to do that if you're doing PvP. You can just leave the barrel as it is, and I can't remember if there's a short barrel on it, but if there is one, you can probably put that on it, it'll be fine. But yeah, it's just a very consistent weapon, which is why I love it so much, and why I think it deserves to be so highly ranked. The M4A1 is a very good beginner gun in this game. It's literally, when you get enough money, you're either going to go for the AK-74 if you want the damage, or the M4A1 if you want more shots on target, I guess. So it's very average. There's nothing truly special about it. It looks pretty good cosmetically, and it's really good for customization. But overall, it's just kind of an average gun. I mean, there's nothing too special about it. But it's still pretty good, even though it's fairly average. So I put it at A tier. Trash. The Beneli M4, I placed at C tier because there isn't too much use for it in PvE. For PvP though, it can absolutely destroy people in actually most maps because it has a really good pellet spread. So it has a surprisingly good amount of range, allowing you to use this in most maps in PvE. Some maps you're going to have a massive handicap using it, but for the most part you're probably going to be fine. But if there's a map that's like, let's say, Lookout, then you're probably going to be better off using a different gun. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's not absolute trash, so it's not going in D tier, but it's alright, but definitely not the best it could be. So C tier, I think, is appropriate. Bro, it's a full auto sniper rifle. What more do I have to say? This thing can one-tap the RLF in PvE, which is probably one of the lower tier enemies, which is still good. And it can one-tap players. And it's automatic. It's an automatic sniper rifle. Think about that. The recoil isn't even that bad. Yeah, it has high recoil, but because of the rate of fire, it really isn't that big of a deal. So you can shred in PvE and PvP super easily if you can control that recoil. Like, it's honestly a super underrated gun. It's absolutely insane. M24 is placed at B tier because it's like the entry level sniper. This is probably the first sniper you get, since all the other options are insanely expensive. Yeah, there's really not much to say about this gun. It's just kind of your entry level, kind of basic kind of sniper rifle. It's not bad, it's not the greatest. There are obviously better options. It's fun. This is actually one of the few guns that have a muzzle brake, which is actually fairly interesting. It's supposed to change the sound. I haven't really tested that out, but yeah, this gun is just kind of entry level sniper rifle kind of thing. It's not too special, but it's not bad. It's just kind of fair, I guess. The XM2010 is a ridiculously expensive gun for a good reason. It has absolutely stupidly high damage. You can one-tap most NPCs in this game with ease. It's kind of dumb. You can one-tap from the chest up. If you hit the head, chest, arms, it's gonna be an insta-kill for a player. Like, you're rarely gonna ever hit them in the legs and screw yourself over. That's rarely gonna happen. And honestly, the only other main downside I might find, like if you're playing PvP, is just the length of the gun. It is insanely long. So I would probably put like a short barrel on it, and do not put a suppressor on it, because honestly, it's a loud gun. Even with a suppressor, people are gonna hear it. So probably just try to make the gun as short as possible if you're ever going to use it for PvP. MP5 is a pretty good gun, especially for an SMG, but it suffers from the same fate as like P90, as it just doesn't really, at least in my opinion, doesn't really live up to the other weapons in this tier list, like the AK-103 and the MK18 might have slower rate of fires, but they deliver a bigger punch, which kind of balances it out. So that's a big reason why I put it at B tier. Then again, in PvP and in PvE, they're a lot more useful because you can actually like rush around, and because they're higher rate of fire and everything. Like, you can do a lot of damage very quickly with them, and since the players only have 100 health, it's not that bad. But in PvE, when everything has a lot more health, it's not really a viable strategy, because you really gotta conserve your ammo in PvE. So knowing like you essentially turn or using the MP5 as like a bullet hose, it's not really the best strat. So that's why I put it at B tier. Again, like all SMGs can be somewhat decent in PvP, but in PvE it's not there. Now I'm going to be grading the secondaries for BRM5, so this might go a little bit faster than the primaries. Browning high power. Very consistent gun, and is probably one of the most silent guns when you put a suppressor on it in this game. Like, guaranteed. I have not heard another gun in this game sound as quiet as the Browning high power. It's a really good gun for stealth. Makarov was a really good gun to the nerf. The nerf that came onto it hit it hard. Now, using this gun is just as short. There's not really any point for it, but it is a very small gun if that matters to you, so use that. Desert Eagle is a very, very strong backup. You can whip it out in a second and pop someone in the head, instantly down them just out of the blue. So it's a really good gun if you're like messing around and you have a crappy primary but you really just want to be able to stand somewhat of a chance. Really powerful secondary, really good gun. M9's just a good pistol. There's literally like no downsides to it. If you take it, it's just a good gun. You're taking a good gun. It's not bad. I have nothing bad to say about it. At least not right now. It's just a great gun. Glock 22 goes to C tier purely because of its limb damage and its burst delay. With more lag, the burst delay becomes more apparent and screws you over a lot more. If you are able to get a good strain off, it's not terrible, but that limb damage still will screw you over a lot. So that's why it gets to be in such a low tier. Is it the worst gun ever? No, but there are guns that just do its job better. CZ75A is put in B tier because it essentially does what the Glock tries to do, but better. It does have lower overall damage, yes, but this gun's essentially supposed to be a bullet hose, which works really well in its favor, which I think makes it better than the Glock 22. Before the video ends, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button to help motivate me to make more videos, smack that bell so you can get notified when a new video drops, and that'll be it. See you in the next one.